attention can be considered what you're attending to versus what you're ignoring, or what it is that you're keeping at bay that might be a potential source of distraction. And so one way of thinking about attention from that point of view is the brain's ability, oftentimes thought of as mediated by the prefrontal cortex, the brain's ability to maintain goals and avoid sources of interference or distraction. And so when you start talking about attention in terms of task goals, then it becomes really easy to relate attention to multitasking, because, what is multitasking? Well, multitasking is trying to do two tasks at once. Well, tasks have particular goals. One reason why multitasking may be so challenging for us is that we're actually trying to use similar, if not the same, brain structures in prefrontal cortex to simultaneously do two oftentimes very incompatible things in terms of goals that we're trying to maintain. It's important to make sure that we all understand that attention is kind of this really limited resource, and to the extent to which we split it up too finely, we really kind of lose the ability to do any single task very effectively. A modern example of multitasking is using your cell phone while driving. To the extent that you're using your cell phone while driving, that can be a dangerous multitasking type combination, because what you're essentially asking the brain to do is to try to split its resources, or to divide attention between goals associated with, say, a phone conversation versus goals associated with the driving context. Those goals are being maintained by your attentional systems and prefrontal cortex, and ultimately it's a challenge because your brain has to toggle back and forth. Most individuals, for a number of reasons, would like to think, because generally speaking we like to think well of ourselves, will actually think that they can multitask. But the reality is the number of individuals that think that they can multitask far outpaces the number of individuals that can actually do it. He actually found that there was only about 2.5% of individuals who could do it. Once you get within that 2.5%, it was fairly evenly distributed between men and women, yet again. And so what that means is that 97.5% of us, whether we're male or female, can't multitask. And for those 2.5% that can, there's about an equal number of men and women that are able to do it. But nobody's really any good at it. That's the parenthetical comment after that. There's a lot of research that's going on right now to see whether or not you can train that portion of attention that might be related to multitasking that I was just telling you about. So can we train people to get better at maintaining task goals? If you work at a task and you practice a task for months or years, I can guarantee you're going to get better at that particular task. The question will be is whether or not that shows transfer to other more distant tasks. So to use a metaphor, if I train you on task A or B, you'll get really good at task A or B. The question is, will you get better at task C? Can you expect to get better at task M? Probably not. And that's the real trick, is whether or not we can train attention more flexibly as opposed to just how attention operates in a single task. But right now, I think the balance of the evidence suggests that it's not possible.